another episode of The Diplomats as Stitches, Audacious Hand, and myself, Go Horns, go analyze the Season 6 Nexus main event finals. Brought to you by diplomacybriefing.com, where you can get all your diplomacy content, find out what's happening in the hobby, all for free in your email box every week. All right, fellas, here we go. Fall 1902 is complete, and there are a couple of moves to talk about. Don, Stitches, Nexus Poobah, where would you like to go first?
I like starting with Turkey, and that looks like exactly where I want to talk.
Well,
Wow.
I remember asking if this would happen, and Hand was like, no, not gonna happen. It happened.
What would happen?
If Black would go to Ankara.
That's not true. What I said was that I think that Russia was kind of grooming Turkey to take his centers at some point in the game, but it all came together so fast that he was going to be at an impasse where he's tempted to stab Turkey now, but it almost feels too early, but also the opportunity is so good. I don't think I think that it's probably good for Russia, but I will say I don't usually, if I am going to try to take Ankara or go after Turkey, I don't really like leaving the Black Sea. I would prefer to convoy an army or slide into Armenia first, because now, go on.
Well, I agree. I would have preferred to convoy an army, but under this plan, he couldn't do it, right? Because he had to support Bulgaria. He knew that Bulgaria would have two on it.
Mm-hmm. You really wanted that army out of Anatolia. So I think he has plenty of time to get back up. There's nothing threatening Ankara. I think
but that wasn't,
keep it there for now. He has to keep it there probably for the spring, and then if you leave the Black Sea, you're kind of at a tactical disadvantage. I mean, I'm not saying he had a choice necessarily. If he was going to attack Turkey, he kind of had to do this, but it's almost more of a win for Austria.
So does he build a fleet to support it?
I mean, VI or Village Idiot Ewok he's intelligent, but I think if we've seen one thing, he's a conservative player. And I think moving the fleet is not a conservative move. It's not optimal.
No.
He knows it's not optimal. But, he's still got good position there.
I just curious how he's going to follow it up. Is he going to follow it up with an army coming through Armenia, or is he just going to take the Black with another fleet? I hate building fleets this early with Russia.
I think I think we can talk about it, but I think he'll build in Sevastopol.
Yeah.
An army. But
I mean, he again can't build in St. Petersburg because, I mean, I know you guys keep enjoying the Scandinavian moves, but I find them inefficient. I mean, because St. Petersburg's still not cleared. That might by design. He doesn't want to help Germany too much. But as for Sevastopol, usually I'd be right with you about building a second fleet. I mean, it depends on how serious this alliance with Austria is. I mean, generally in an astronaut, actually Austria kind of builds southern fleets and Russia builds northern fleets, and you have to kind of start doing it early. This could be somewhat modified in the sense that he hasn't cleared St. Petersburg, and Austria did not clear Trieste and cannot build a fleet.
Clearly doesn't want it if he's getting rid of his fleet to build another army.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens
do you think
there.
Was the Warsaw Hold a little homage to last year? I mean, he could have moved it to Moscow. He could have set up, he could have built there if he wanted. I mean, I don't think he had to worry too much about Russia. I mean, Austria going to Galicia. Maybe it was just a bit of a concern.
Yeah, Moscow would have been a lot nicer because it could have freed up a lot of his northern moves. So it's not a stalemate with England. Holding's fun though. I mean,
What's the point of the hold though?
it's
I mean,
just a
even
conservative move, but it's not that you can't move back.
Well,
that's
I
true.
can't
I
get in
mean,
his
even
mind, but I think it's to, if he has to get over there to slide it to help Germany, he can. There's not much England can do in the north right now, so it'll still made up there for a while.
to help Germany. The if I mean honestly, I would have considered moving to Livonia and bringing the fleet down, and then trying to bring the army up, just convoy to Sweden or put in Finland or something. I mean, he really I don't. I mean, like knowing Ewok, it's by design, but it just seems like such an abject failure to lock down Scandinavia. Once you have, Finland and a few units up there, I mean, it becomes yours, and Germany, even if they are tempted to try to take it, won't be able to. Seems like he's just leaving the door open to have Scandinavia continue to be contested. Of course, this all could be. I mean, there is a way in which I feel like him and England might have shared moves. It might have, because if you look, England, it looks like what England supported Sweden. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it looked. I mean, I wonder if he just knew he was going to defend Norway, and he wants to pretend to help Germany.
Well, he
not
kind of
doing
has to do that. That way, if Norway wants to slide into Barents, then no assisted convoy can come in behind it. So even if it's prearranged, it's just a defensive move for
Right,
Russia in
yeah.
general. I don't think he anticipated taking it. Like I
Let
said,
me-
England
Yeah.
might even know that's happening.
Let
I
me
agree.
posit a different idea. That this really is not an Austria-Russia alliance. This is really an English-French-Russian alliance. Austria has made two enemies. France is about to reap the rewards of Italy having to turn his back. I think there's a lot of
Wait, so you-
opportunities for Russia to go into Austria. Turkey's nearly dead. I would not be surprised to see the squeeze going that way.
I think France, Russia is most likely. Little E, little A, sidekicks, but they look like they're doing most of the dirty work, and yeah, France and Russia are definitely scooping up the centers.
We can talk about France a little bit later. I agree that it might be a kind of de-escalation or going on between England and Russia, but I don't see that as a long-term alliance. I mean,
It's
I think
classic.
that
to me.
Russia's trying to.
Are you so? Go ahead, Audacious.
I mean, he is poised to perhaps attack Germany. I actually think that even despite the fact that Austria has made a few enemies, we can talk about the move Tyrolia. I don't think it's clear cut what he's doing is, as you guys might, but he has another build. He's up to 5 armies. 5-army Austria is not an easy target anymore. It's a hard target, not a soft target. So if he wanted to go after Austria, he really should have moved to Galicia or done something earlier. I will say, even though the Turkey's down to 2 centers too, it's not going to be all that easy to crack either.
He's at 3.
Turkey? Oh yeah.
No, he's at
No,
two.
he's at 2.
Was he at 2?
Yeah, because he lost Bulgaria and he lost Ankara.
Oh, I thought they disbanded that. Okay.
But I think this is
Nope.
classic village idiot, which is to get 2 other people to fight, in this case Turkey and Austria, and then decide where his opportunities are. This is how he plays diplomacy. He does not want to make the first move. He does not want to be the aggressor. He's patient. Last year, too patient, but he wants other people to fight, and he wants to swoop in at that point.
So that means Constantinople didn't move.
What do you mean? Constantinople got support into Bulgaria, but Russia defended Bulgaria.
Right. I
Yeah.
thought Russia was supporting Constantinople and to ensure that
No,
it
Nope.
disbanded the fleet.
nope. He supported
Austria.
Austria. A lot of people get that wrong and don't realize that if you're holding, you can actually support opposite coasts.
Oh, I wasn't worried about that.
Yeah.
I had assumed that the idea was to move the Turkish army away and
Yeah.
to get rid of the fleet build for Austria.
hmm
But that works too.
Now, I would like to talk about Italy because Han says he's not sure that this is what it looks like, which is to be a giant stab on Italy. I think it is. One, Max seemed to verify that in the Discord chat himself that it was a stab. But you can't explain the bounce in Greece and the move to Piedmont without thinking that this was intentional, set up to try and take down Max. Now, it's curious that it happens on a fall move. Now, there is nothing Italy can do to stop it, except he can convoy to Apulia in the spring next year. So but I'm curious what Italy was thinking with the Western Med. I think Italy just got played bad. This is on the 5th turn. He moves away from Venice. Not that it would have done any good, and he gets nothing out of it.
I mean, he did a few things wrong. I mean, the last turn holding that army in Tunis, was really foolish. At least convoy, even if you're playing wait and see, convoy to Apulia, you can still kind of do a Lepanto-esque launch from there, and you have defensive armies on the boot. The reason why I said it might not be exactly what it seems is not because I think that it's a secret alliance between Italy and Austria, but rather that I think that Austria might at this point hesitate to attack either Italy or Germany. I think that, and I kind of mentioned this last thing. I think that in a way, he's disciplining the dogs, right? So Italy was refusing to move, refusing to help with any offensives. Tyrolia in a more high level, in a lower level game, people just get, lose their temper over Tyrolia, which is actually in a way a good idea. But I feel like in a more high level game, you often move there in order to dictate the relations between the central powers and to in fact enforce alliance behavior. So I'm kind of wondering, I think that, Pez might be moving there in order to gain leverage over an uncooperative Italy. And now that Italy is finally helping Germany, Pez might not, Austria might not have believed him. I could possibly see him holding that attack against Italy. Even though taking Venice seems like a good idea, it's really can be catastrophic to engage in an invasion of Italy this early on. I'm not saying he won't do it, but I think that he will use that as a point of leverage and see what he can get.
I'm just sort of stunned as I look at the map. I mean, Turkey's got to disband one, almost certainly Aegean, maybe not, maybe Smyrna, but I think he's going to disband a fleet. This is a stunning lack of fleets in the Med for O2,
Yes.
which really helps Austria.
It does, though he didn't manage to build a fleet. This is why I actually don't think that there's some deep long-term astronaut brewing here in some ways. Austria is actually on the course of survival and domination of everyone around them, which is just pump out armies. He's put his fleet at a lot of risk, doesn't seem to mind the idea of it maybe becoming disbanded. So, and again, like if you really wanted to attack Italy, then he might have tried to clear Trieste or move to Venice.
That's a good point.
Why didn't he? why didn't he move to Venice? It's almost like he was testing to see if Italy would move against France, in order to keep, to help Germany to some extent.
That's a good
I
point.
will say too, though, yeah, of course it is. I will say too, Stitches, you were all for the double army build by France. I mean, to me, I see this is where I would start regretting it, not because you want to make a huge offensive play here, but because you see the Mediterranean with, not devoid of fleets, but pretty empty of fleets. This would be a perfect time to come down there, maybe in a peacekeeping action, maybe to help Italy.
Help.
Exactly.
I don't know. I like the armies. I think he can do anything he wants, and he knows it's going to happen. And I know that with Belgium, he can build one. And so it's time to build fleets, and it's time to utilize it because he can monopolize by pumping them out.
Let's talk about France, because more impressive than anything else I saw was France taking Belgium with 1. We talked about this a lot, but Hand always talks about folds of thinking. Well, Philip outthought Dave, pretty badly here. The move with 1 and the cutting of Ruhr.
I thought about it, and I was just like, Dave really needed to get that fleet in position on North, and he was gambling that a support through Belgium would happen. And honestly, I don't think he could risk not trying to take it. Putting an army in Holland would have just been bad positioning in general. I think that was a good thought process by Philip to block it and just walk in. Everyone played risks, and yeah.
Feels a little more nervous about moving the North Sea or doing anything with it, but it seemed pretty clear to me that tile would be used to convoy. So yeah, right. So I was gonna say, I find myself pretty disappointed in his move, and in some ways he's a victim of his own success. His last turn was really great. He had a fold of thinking where he anticipated what the opponents were doing, and I think he should have been able to expect that would cause his opponents to think in an additional fold, and that they wouldn't just go for the straightforward support into Belgium. I agree with Stitches in the sense that it is a bit of a worthy gamble to try to take Holland and get a fleet that can access the North Sea. But I actually think getting a fleet loaded up onto North Sea would be such a strategic advantage that it should have been prioritized. I would have gone to Helgoland by it or shifted up to Skagerrak in Denmark. I mean, I do agree with I do agree with this continuous blocking of England's convoy to Holland. The only critique of that you could say is that getting the army out might tempt France a little more to go after England, but keeping England weak is a good thing. It tempts France, it tempts Russia. So, but yeah, I found the moves a little disappointing. I would have liked to see a twofold thinking following upon the heels of his single fold. I mean, at the beginning of the game, that's the general rule. You just kind of increase the folds until it becomes too complex to think that way.
Yeah, they were really playing a denial game against Germany. I think he had anticipated prioritize Belgium one way or the other and let him have Holland. Instead, yeah, he would have been better off bouncing Belgium too if he's just going to worry about that. That's rough for Germany, though.
I will say too, for France, it's kind of interesting because staying in Marseille is, on one hand, on the surface is a bit of a problem, and Italy seems to be moving against him. And it would be nice to be able to build the fleet there. However, the nice thing about having Marseille blocked is now you have an excuse to build your fleet in Brest, right? Because you can just tell England, I need a fleet to go after Italy. You know, Italy could very well work things out with France since he has an apparent threat in the east, and then you have a very easy way to shift up against England and even have a convoy line out of Belgium or Gascony.
Well, this is my point. France now is the pivot point. He can save Germany. He can attack England. He can continue with France, but he gets to build his fleet in Brest.
Yep.
He has to build a fleet. He cannot build an army.
Cannot.
He's not going to wave. That's what's happening. And England hates that.
I mean, England's in a vulnerable place here.
Because next turn he almost is guaranteed to get into Holland. But France can swoop up from behind if it really wanted to.
I'm not sure he's guaranteed Holland.
If France helps him, you mean, right?
Right.
Yeah, France can break support and support in.
Though technically, I mean, technically Germany could still break that support or to Belgium.
Yeah, Ruhr to Belgium, Denmark to north. Well, I mean, it would depend. It's a little unusual for Holland not to be a claimed supply center in 1903.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting moment. We'll see if France decides to stick with England. I mean, if Russia, Germany, and France decide that it's England's time now, he's gone. In fact, that would be probably a faster capture for France than attacking Germany would be at this point.
True, but isn't the way to do that to get Germany to get York onto Holland? Then you MAO to Irish, Brest to Mid-Atlantic, Gascony then can convoy right into Liverpool, and you get Germany, Holland, and disband it in the. I mean, you can easily see that happening.
Yeah. I mean, you can do both. Yeah. So, do you think England's begging France for more armies?
I don't think anyone that is a logical player could actually make that claim. That's laughable. Even if you would want them to build an army, it's just even in an alliance, you don't even need that army.
Even you stitches? No. Yeah.
I mean, 3 is offensive, and then that 1 extra lets you do whatever you want to do. And
now, could we see an EG now?
Well, it's possible, but unlikely to me. I mean, it seems to me that out of all the powers, the two who are going after each other the hardest are those two. And in fact, Germany seems to have been prioritizing denying England more than he has been denying France. I mean, hence the second fleet build and blocking them out of Holland.
I think Germany will say whatever, but I think EF are pretty good alliance players, and they're probably going to stick together for a little bit longer, even though there's opportunities.
I
don't think either one is going to lead their wingman.
No.
As much as I want to think about an attack on England, I don't think it'll happen.
Maybe not. I'm not so sure. I mean, building that double army build, I was giving it a little bit more thought. It's interesting because in some sense it seems very unaggressive against England, but what can you do with that extra army in Gascony? It seems like everything, but it seems like it's for convoying. I mean, you get one more off the continent. So
it protects all 4 centers. It protects Burgundy. It can convoy to the Atlantic, to North Africa, or to Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly.
It can do all that, but one thing is that all 3 of us know you got to be patient in a finals game. You got to be patient.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I know that.
I'm so aggressive. That's why I die so fast. But yeah.
Hence your finals record.
Yes. Well,
I think Austria is being a little aggressive here, making a move before Turkey's officially dead. But yeah.
Okay.
I feel bad for Italy.
Grades for who had the best 1902. Let's go around again, go back to Turkey. I don't think Turkey had the best 1902. Give him a grade.
F.
F.
I don't give F's either. Not usually. You should have known that Russia was slowing down the rollout to begin with, that he probably was weighing his options and was not in your best interest. I would have tried to wedge Austria against him a lot faster. He just got hung out in the cold. There's nothing.
I mean, I don't know if I can really give him a full F in the sense that, I mean, he was taken for a ride pretty badly. I could have seen myself almost rolling the dice a little bit here in terms of
He could have
thinking
held
that
him in Ankara last season. And
that's what
had
he
a
should have
retreat to
done.
Constantinople, and he would have got taken from behind.
That's true. The culmination of his moves did lead to this. I don't know what part he had in the kind of slowdown for the rollout of the jug. But on the other hand, I could see myself rolling the dice in the sense that after all the social capital that Russia has expended on trumpeting and RT, it is very early for a stab, and it would, in my mind, knock someone's reputation just to completely throw their best ally in the trash in fall 1902. Then again, Ewok seems to survive without worrying much about his reputation in general.
I give him an F. I really feel bad. I think he had to trust Village Idiot. So I don't really blame him for the moves. Just ultimately, he's two centers. You can't give that a good grade.
Yeah.
His real failure was announcing on the pregame that he was going to basically be Ewok's ally, which meant that, Ewok had to come up with a different plan.
Mm-hmm.
And Taj got taken advantage of second finals in a row. But one thing we do know is he does pick an enemy. His enemy now is going to be Russia, but what can he do? That's, last year's England, he just, went all in against Kutuzov, but it just didn't work. Okay, Austria's grade.
I'm gonna give him a
1902
C for me, just because I just don't know where it's going. His fleet's still grounded. He did get a build, but he's moving on Turkey, or he's moving on Italy. So I think it's just too early to move on Italy. You're just gonna give France some time to ramp up, and Italy was actually playing some defense on that coast. I give him
an A. I give him an A. I see, I was telling you about Pez's propensity for three ways, and often what happens with him is he has his primary three way, but he also has all the other three ways set up, every possible permutation. And the second someone seems unworthy or isn't moving according to the plan or is slowing things down, he kind of excises that person and moves on to a different constellation of powers. So I think what happened here is he just got tired of Italy refusing to act, refusing to help Germany, refusing to help against Turkey. And I think he worked something out with Russia, which is really to his credit. I mean,
Maybe he just wants his home city.
What's that?
Maybe he just wants his home city.
That's true. He
just wants Venice.
True. That could be. I mean, he does have a preoccupation with that border. Yeah, it is. But still, I really wouldn't assume that he's going to take Venice. I really do think that this is, diplomacy with a big stick, to some extent. Like I said, if he had really wanted to go all against Italy, he might have built the fleet. Instead, he is going the classic Austrian blob mode. He's still would be quite strong against a Russian attack. Russia doesn't have Turkey anymore for that army support, and in fact could launch a pretty significant invasion of Russia if he so chose. Yep. We haven't really considered the possibility that he might be in league with France and going for Munich. I actually don't think that's his plan, but that is somewhat of a possibility.
he's definitely a threat. He's definitely placed himself in a good position.
Mhm.
I'm just
And
wondering.
not only that, but he really rolled. You know, Galicia is really is more valuable to Austria than Russia. It borders two centers, as well as Romania, which is kind of, if I'm Austria, I'm always looking at Romania as my end goal for conquest of the Balkans. So he took a big risk by not going there, and you know, the fact that he's captured Tyrolia, whether or not he does anything with it, or whether he decides to try to help Germany, try to discipline his dogs a little bit, whether he goes after Venice, and Galicia's still empty. And not only that, but he's going to build an army and can still continue to keep Russia out of Galicia. I think it turned out very well for him. And again, I think that the grounding of the army, though that is a general rule for me, I think that's intentional, and he is intentionally creating a vacuum of naval power by keeping that fleet over there.
A minus for me. I felt there was no chance he'd keep Bulgaria. He did. He got Russia on side. He still got a positional issue in Greece to worry about. I'm not sure what he did with Italy. The more I think about it, maybe Trieste should have gone to Venice if he's really doing that. But I sort of like Hand's theory that this is to discipline Italy a bit. But now, what can Italy really do for him? So I don't think he can do much. So even if Italy is a dog, he's kind of a three-legged dog, like in the Bruce Springsteen song about three-legged dog from The Wrestler. Okay, Russia grade. Got to go quicker with the grades.
You go first.
Also thinking C. He got a build, but I'm really thinking pumping up Austria is more dangerous than still working with Turkey. Austria's got to build an army. It's not a good alliance for Russia, I don't think. And I thought Constantinople was going to get pushed to Bulgaria, giving Austria the span build and pretty much pushing the army out so Russia can monopolize on the peninsula, but he can get pushed right back out. I don't know.
It is a little tough. I'd give him like a B minus. His two fronts are really two different matters. I think the northern moves are bad. I think his entire campaign there has been a little lackluster. Again, that might be by design, classic Ewok foot dragging. In the south, I don't love grounding the fleet. Having Austria in blob mode is pretty dangerous, though I don't think he necessarily knew that he wouldn't vacate Trieste as a kind of excuse not to build a fleet. However, if you look at how things are going to shake out in Anatolia, it's going to be very, very hard for Austria to get any of those centers. Whereas if he does build, like, for instance, an army in Sevastopol, there's no way Turkey can keep him out from Armenia. And so he has a much better vector for taking Anatolia. I mean, that's one. Now, you asked, Ed, what Italy can do for Austria. In some sense, I have a suspicion that Italy's kind of already done that by going against France, and that Austria will be satisfied to some extent. But also just the fact that Italy could contest Smyrna or demand Smyrna and keep Russia from completely dominating that. It is a bit of a risk, though, because I do see that blue flame of rage in Max, so I'm not sure if he won't just harbor a resentment that will flower later. Yeah, his moves in the south aren't terrible. He's going to have to be careful not to let himself get encircled in Romania. Again, though, the fleet being in Bulgaria is kind of a bit of an olive branch from between Russia and Austria. So, yeah, I'd give him a B.
I give him an A minus. I think Anatolia is his. Where I fault him a little bit is what Hand's saying. I mean, he has not committed to the northern campaign, but I think that's intentional.
Yeah.
He said in the pregame that Conk told him last year that Russia's like a shark. You either got to keep swimming or you're going to die. But I think he's avoiding the classic Russian overexpansion problem. And so, well, obviously, but I think he's setting himself up just fine. So I like his set of moves. Okay, time to grade Italy.
I mean, a D. I give him a D.
Yeah,
The
probably.
I'm looking back. This really, again, this shows last turn how holding in Tunis and having that silly kind of poke at Aegean really was foolish. I mean, even if you're going to stay connected, like get back on homeland, the attack against France bit lackluster, bit late.
You should have moved the Piedmont way earlier.
If he
to
was going
provide
to
that
do it.
pressure.
Perhaps. I mean, I wonder what's going on with that bounce in the Western Mediterranean. I'm guessing Austria probably leaked that move or something happened. Maybe not.
It was prearranged.
It could be prearranged. Yeah, it could be prearranged. I agree with that.
If it was prearranged, why go to Piedmont?
Well, he has a lot of extra armies. Maybe it was just a fear move. Maybe
Yeah,
it's just
who
extra
knows?
pressure to keep it covered. I don't know.
Who knows? But
Uh,
I mean, if it was prearranged, that would bode badly for England. That would mean that's in the works. But regardless,
I think he was
yeah.
just tempted by the lack of fleets, and he just made a bad play on it. I just think pushing France isn't probably the best option when you're at 4.
D
But I,
minus, D minus. He only gets graded up from an F because he kept Venice.
I mean, that's yeah. I think that might be by design. I mean, the convoy to Greece is pretty bad too. It's actually kind of ironic
Why is it bad? You thought it was going to happen
in
last
the
time.
game now than it was. Well, yeah, I thought it's bad for Italy. I did actually think that Austria was creating a vacuum of power and trying to perhaps entice Italy and Turkey to bounce there so he could take it and create conflict between the two. And something along those lines did happen. I mean, I was very wrong. I think my valuation of Austria's move was both perfect in the sense that the vacuum of power he's creating, the dynamics are in his favor. I did poo-poo the idea of an alliance with Russia and turned out wrong, though I do maintain that I don't think that's like a deep alliance. I don't know how much a deep alliance with Ewok is possible even. But or Pez, yeah, or Pez for that matter. I mean, Pez doesn't like to take risks with the allies. It kind of actually, I know this is a bit of an aside, but I meant to talk about this today. I'm getting really tired of the term alliance player. Have you guys noticed we always say they're an alliance player? Everyone's an alliance player, right? Like you have to have allies to win. I mean, and in fact, like who name someone who isn't an alliance player? I mean, maybe Powa or something.
Some
but
people are just way more transactional when it comes to deals.
But that's precisely it. I think we need to distinguish between alliance players and friendship players, right? An alliance player is someone who will like not betray you, but it's really complicated to work things out with them, and you never get quite the optimal move, but you move forward, you know, bouncing in the Black Sea and whatnot. A friendship player is someone who will actually take risks for their allies and, you know, put their nuts on their table, so to speak. So I just think this term alliance player has been more widely used. I mean, you know, more complex vocabulary. Regardless, though, I'm sorry about that long aside. Yeah, I'm a little bit amused by the comment of Greece, just because when me and Pez played, I similarly blocked him out of Greece and screwed him over. He also demanded to go to Greece, and there's nothing more annoying than an Italy who demands to get a convoy to Greece. So if that did come from Max, then kind of deserves it to some extent.
All right, grade for Germany.
I would give them a B just because I would make these same moves. I would really think that they would prioritize Belgium, and I'd want my fleet on North. I'm sad that he got bounced out. He didn't guess correctly, but I would have made the same moves, unfortunately.
I see what you're saying. I mean, and I do understand the value of the gamble for Holland, but it seems like the likelihood is almost a coin flip there, and the value of getting 2 against North is higher. I really don't understand the poke on the North Sea from Denmark, unless that was like some kind of misinformation that really could have been better. And it is true. And again, like if you know if his opponents had continued thinking just without a fold, then it would have been fine. But I think he should have anticipated that they are now going to anticipate his anticipation.
I mean, what do you want Denmark to do? It really can't do anything else. It's pretty much a hold.
You guys still think that fleet build in Berlin was the right call? Because it's now been
It's not in Berlin.
2
It's
years.
good.
I do. I actually still believe that's true. I do think that's true.
You rotated it out perfectly.
Yeah, I just think
Kiel is such a great place to be.
What Denmark could have done, I would have
powerful
rather.
If
The
it's
next
gonna be
thing
grounded, it needs to be in Kiel.
What was that?
It's like grounded in Kiel is not that bad.
Yeah, you can even shift the Baltic if you need to. It's not. But you asked what Denmark could have done. I mean, I like to use a single unit to like block more than one and kind of disrupt the entire chain. I would have just used Ruhr to block Holland, knowing that they would definitely go for it. You're not going to lose Ruhr. They don't have 2 units on it. And then maybe shifted my fleets north to Skagerrak and Denmark. Also, if you take Skagerrak, you're basically forcing Russia, like, okay, you're dicking around, but here I am, take Norway.
Take Norway, I'm taking Sweden.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, so yeah, I would give him, did I already grade him?
No.
Yeah.
I think okay, I'll give him a B minus. It's really on the border between a B minus and C plus, but he has a little bit of a halo from his last.
B minus for me. I think he should have taken Holland. But it is what it is. England's grade, hard to grade.
Oh, wait. You think he should have taken Holland? He would have lost Ruhr, and then he would have 2 on Munich.
Could have moved Munich to Ruhr.
What? That'd be even riskier.
You think Burgundy was going to go to Munich?
Oh, I guess
Nobody predicted that the last time.
Yeah, it's a possibility. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on.
England's grade.
I like England's grade. He's just denying Germany. It's just comical at this point. The bounce in Holland is kind of like the new Black Sea.
I'm not sure he take. So you like it? You give him what?
I mean, I don't know what else he would do. It's still not an awful position. I just don't know what else he would do. He's stuck in the same 1901 move, unfortunately.
So what grade?
Can't really shuffle. I'd still say from where he is, I'd still give him an A.
What? I want to take your class, man. Yeah. Come on.
I love it.
I don't. I mean,
It's nasty.
It is nasty.
So
nasty. I've just given my all to like screwing over Germany like this is England, but only when Germany, tried to organize a sea lion against me or insulted me or did something that I felt I needed to punish them for. Otherwise, I mean, he still hasn't landed an army anywhere. He didn't manage. I mean, and I agree with your earlier assessment that maybe he could have convinced France to let him have Belgium and then shuffle up to Holland or something. I mean, he could have gotten boots on the ground Scandinavia for a long time ago, though I do know that's evidence that there is some kind of peacemaking between Russia and England. I personally don't really see the value of just kind of stalemate up there without cooperation, but a different style. He's just in complete stasis.
Yep.
He has no way to push Russia. He's, we'll see if France decides to let him have Holland, and Germany could still deny him. At some point, people are, you want to trumpet the glory of denying Germany that center, but what have you gotten out of it?
That's true.
Besides a 6 center France.
Yeah,
and a 7 center Russia.
Maybe he'll let him into Holland, and maybe he'll support him up into Sweden. Who knows? But I doubt it.
If I'm grading him on what
the bear so often, it's hard to make.
So the grade is what, Han? The grade is what? You got to grade him.
Oh, I'll give him a D.
I can't give him a D. I'll give him a B because I don't think he could have done anything differently. But where is he going in this game? This failure to go to Edinburgh in 01, all right, is rearing its ugly head now 2 years later. He can be denied Holland. He will be denied Holland. Where is he going to grow? Russia is almost certainly, well, if he had moved to Moscow, that would be bad. I mean,
If you had
I'm
this
a
much
little
trust
worried
in
about
France, you should have gone to Edinburgh. And if you wanted to play the field, York is fine, but
Mhm.
it's almost time to switch it up with another partner just to see what you can get.
I could almost see him having to invite a fleet breast into the channel.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
That's the only
know,
way.
I mean, he
and
needs Russia's pinning him down, even though Russia's not really pushing him hard. Russia's pinning him down just enough that he can't put a fleet in Helgoland by it or Skagerrak. If you got that fleet into Helgoland by it, it's great because you can threaten the homeland with the German homeland with convoys and Denmark and everything. But he can't do that because Norway's being pinned down.
Yep.
Yeah, he's just. I'm kind of curious, and besides, and also, I feel like we should grade him harder. He picks England #1. He says he
I know,
likes
right?
playing England. To me, liking playing a country means that you have something like some tricks up your sleeve. You're going to show, you're going to prove your audacious philosophies to the world. And what does he prove besides that the Yorkie opening kind of is crappy?
okay, France is great.
I love it. I don't know. I'm a big fan, so I'm a little biased. He didn't even go safe. He saw that Germany's going to go after Holland, and he could just walk straight into Belgium. I hate that he can't build in Marseille, but it still gives him leverage on building a fleet in Brest, which is still great too.
So
Yeah,
the grade is
A for me. My class
and
is easy.
I'll also give him an A, and there's actually some subtle details that are easily missed here. For instance, if had he gotten Ruhr, he had the support to Belgium, and then he would be threatening Munich and a breakout into Germany and across the board. I actually don't think he thought that would happen, but in that case, even though the support from Gascony seems extraneous, it's an excuse to keep Gascony there. So Gascony is neither covering Brest, and it's on the coast. And again, like Stitches said, as it's the perfect defensive army, and it's a convoy point. So there is some nice subtleties there. I really do wonder about the balance in the Western Mediterranean. It will be interesting to see. I mean, it keeps him in Mid-Atlantic. It's hard to believe he just went to the Western Mediterranean to pick up scraps. So
I mean, France can row out to the Channel invited, and then drop Gascony in North Africa if it really wanted to, because I bet that Tunisia army is leaving. I don't like armies in North Africa, but it's just different pressure.
A plus. It was great. I don't think he could have improved a single move. I very much like his play for the entire year. I still don't like the 2 army builds, but he now has an army advantage if you're counting England's army. So, good for him. And he could have, if we always talk about diplomacy as who has the most options, he's got the most options. He can go against Italy. He can continue the attack on Germany, and he's got an English option if he wants to deploy that as well. So
I just want to say that I was right that he got Belgium.
well, we all said he was going to get Belgium.
No, you said, I think for the alliance, England will be in Belgium.
Oh, you're probably right. You're probably right.
I am right, because I remember, because you
wouldn't that have been better though for the alliance?
No. Well, I don't think that there was any way France was letting that happen.
Well, all right. Quickly, gentlemen, Russia builds where?
Sevastopol, probably army. Army is just safer for Russia in general.
definitely an army in Sevastopol. There is I mean, yeah, I don't think he would do it though. I mean, the vacuum of power in terms of fleets does kind of invite. I mean, who else has fleets down there that can stop him? But that would
Austrian armies. Why? That's too risky.
yeah, I know. I mean, that would be again if it was more of a deep alliance with Austria, which I don't think it is. So yeah, I'd say it's almost certainly an army, and that army because he can go to Armenia uncontested. There's nothing Turkey can do. So
Yep.
I think it has to be an army Sevastopol, and we will see if Warsaw moves to Moscow in the spring, whether it's a deep alliance or not. We know where Austria has to build. Turkey disbands what?
I think Smyrna.
Smyrna.
Aegean might pull back, but at the very least, Aegean causes some anxiety about Greece in Austria's mind.
Well,
I agree. I revised my comment. I revised my comment from before.
Right, because Ankara can't threaten Smyrna, so.
And France waves or builds a fleet in Brest, right? There's no other option.
It's got to be a fleet in Brest.
I also, there is a little bit of something to be said for disbanding Constantinople is less likely, but if he did that, then he could support into Constantinople. So he's making sure that he's pushing up against the Black Sea. You know, if he kind of worked something out with Austria, and Austria is not actually still not really in a position to attack him. I mean, you kind of see that.
I think Turkey's best bet is helping Italy and Greece.
I mean, I think, you know, you can kind of let Italy handle. I mean, I would because I don't want to leave Austria completely unchecked. So we'll see. I most likely Smyrna, possibly Constantinople.
Okay. Comment of the day. Is it this comment?
I don't know. I'm so distracted by all your PowerPoint app.
Or is it this video, which Village Idiot posted?
There's no sound. Yep, there's no sound, so it's not very funny. You want to give us the rundown of what was being said? Could you hear it?
Yeah, it was basically a little play on The Godfather. I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse, making it look like he got Austria on side.
Oh, so he's the one making Austria offers, is he? That sure doesn't. I'm surprised you would say that. I mean, to me, I feel like the best way out of getting the hit to your reputation would be, well, the rollout was slow. I'm so sorry. This wasn't going anywhere. We're just too different. You know, we want different things out of this game. I can't. But I'm surprised that he's posing himself as the
aggressor.
As the aggressor, yeah. The other comments, I don't even know what to think. It's actually been kind of stressful. Like I before I went on this podcast, I was like, well, should I shave? Like, do I need to pretty myself up for my fans? Or, I mean, I used to just show up with like a stained wife beater and smoke weed, and now I'm feeling like I need to, you know, pretend to be like an attractive person. So yeah, I didn't really love either of those comments. I'm going to abstain from. I don't think anyone really.
I think Pez's vacation pictures were.
Yes.
Where he's touring all his realms.
Also, his truck.
Like, oh, here's Bennett. Like, it was a prelude to what he was doing.
And he has a Dodge Ram in Italy. That is unheard of. Who is a Dodge Ram in Italy? I lived in Italy all through middle school and part of high school, and I don't think I ever saw a Dodge Ram.
Where can he park it?
he probably like gets out and gets 3 people together and then convinces the other 2 that in order not to be singled out, they need to like move their car and let him park there or something. Yeah, no, I loved it. And the little cannons. No, he did kind of presage his attack on Italy with the with the cannons pointed across the Adriatic.
Yeah.
That very nice. Definitely the comment of the week. Good job.
Yeah. That was diabolical. Lots of foreshadowing. He was super excited about it too.
All right, so that does it
It's
for
also-
this episode. Oh, go ahead, Hand. You had one more comment.
Oh, I was just gonna say. I mean, it's a little. Also, I love the human element of him posting his vacation pictures. He's taking a little bit of a play out of your playbook stitches to kind of, I do that too. But I did largely learn it from you. Is just kind of like showing how you're going through your life. Just kind of activates the empathy, the mirror neurons in your opponent/allies. So it's nice work.
All right. Well, that does it for another episode of The Diplomats. I invited people on Discord to come in and complain, but nobody decided to join us. So I guess our comments are perfect. Gentlemen, have a good weekend. This will be up after the builds. We'll see if what we said was correct. Good luck to our
They're all gimmies.
competitors.
I don't think there's a.
All right.
He
Brought to you
went-
by diplomacybriefing.com. Good night.
Guys.
Good night.